Looks like one of our development parts didn't fare too well in testing. I've put it on hold for now. You can restart work from the laptop. We're going to have to go back now and make some adjustments in order to get the final numbers looking more like we were expecting from the simulation.
Oh, it's happened again. You can't write this stuff. I mean, how has it happened again? Another failed upgrade. But nevertheless, guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of Career Mode. And as you can see, we've got 2 out of the 3 upgrades that we was meant to have for this race arrive. And it's a shame that the third one didn't really work. However, we've still got 2 big upgrades on the car, one on the chassis, one on the aero, and also I'm just currently in the process of switching up my engine components for the practice session this weekend, and I'm going to use a component number 5. I'm going to basically use all of these for the entire race weekend and try and extract the maximum amount of component 5 for this race weekend. So Singapore, track that, you know, I do actually quite enjoy in this year's game, and once you get a good setup on the cars hooked up, it can be quite a fun track to drive. And I've noticed with this Season 2 car with the upgrades on, it's definitely much more enjoyable than Season 1. But jumping into Friday practice here at Singapore, like I said before, a real disappointment that the upgrade did not work, because a track where you do want to have maximum aero performance, you know, to have an upgrade fail on you, especially the second one in a row after we had a failed rear wing upgrade, the upgrade before that, is quite disappointing, and not the way you want to be really kicking off your weekend. However, like I said, we do have 2 other upgrades on the car that should hopefully help us out a little bit and try and just edge us a bit closer to the top end of the field here. But Singapore, a track, like I said, that I quite enjoy, and it helps when you've got a good setup on the car. But hope you guys are enjoying Career Mode so far, and I'm trying my best to really pump these out daily. Obviously, the few other videos here and there, like my Q&A, just sort of breaking up the Career Mode a little bit. But I'm looking to maybe start some new series on the channel soon and try and expand some different ideas. But for now, I'm very happy with Career Mode. Things are going rather well with this series. Also, I'll have a straw poll video coming soon, and there's various announcements regarding Season 3, and you guys have to get voting in terms of what you want to see. So loads of good things coming up on the channel very soon. But for now, we're going to stick with what we have, and that is basically focusing on the remainder of the season here for Season 2 of Career Mode. And as you can see, we're currently just making our way through the practice programs as we get a purple score there on the track acclimatization, and we're going to get pretty good scores actually throughout the entire practice session. The car was working very good. I had a very good setup on the car, managed to find a good balance, and it was driving beautifully for me. And it's one of the few practice sessions where I got a purple score in everything except for the qualifying performance test, where I got a green score. But even the qualifying performance test, I thought I could have got a purple, but you'll see in a moment I had a little bit of traffic in the form of Lance Stroll, and that sort of didn't really help me in terms of my overall performance. But I genuinely felt this was the first time on a weekend where I thought I could have got a purple score in all of the practice programs, which has never happened yet in this career. As you can see, Stroll just sort of holding me up there, especially now through the final corner there, just costing me time. And I feel like that half a tenth difference I needed, or like, what was it, 800ths of a second or so, that little bit of difference I needed to make that, because I could have done that if Stroll wasn't in my way. But as you can see, we come across the line now, and we end off with the race strategy test, and we get maximum scores there. So a very good practice session, getting some very good points underneath our belt, and we're going to basically not waste too much time and actually spend those R&D points at the end of the episode, you will see in a moment, and purchase basically the failed upgrade that we had, and hopefully that should arrive for the next race in Malaysia. So as you can see, we're now jumping into Saturday qualifying, and my first run in qualifying is nothing spectacular, P4, and we do get ahead. So we do get behind Lewis Hamilton there and ahead of Kvyat, but it's nothing really representative, and we wait until later on in the session when we go back out for our full lap, and we're currently in P7, so let's see if we can improve now. So we go into turn 1, 4th gear corner, pick up the apex, slight corner cut there as we go through turn 2, then flick it into turn 3, 3rd gear. Now really important to pick up the traction on the exit here. I get a little bit of a tank slapper on the exit there, but now into turn number 4 here, 4th gear corner, attack the curb and also run it as close as you dare to the wall. Literally, I get it as close as literally millimeters away from the wall there. Absolutely perfect as we go through the kink of 5 and now into turn number 6, down to 4th gear, possibly 3rd. I prefer 4th, and use all the track available to you, and then a short square on the power into turn 7, 3rd gear, possibly 2nd. I prefer 3rd, and then get some good drive out of here. Once again, a short square on the power into turn 8. Very tricky corner here, so you can basically hit the wall on the right hand side if you're not careful on the exit, and then into the former Singapore Sling, which is now a modified turn 10, and then into the right left chicane over the Anderson Bridge here. And it's a very good lap so far. A little bit scruffy in this last little section as I get my apex a little bit wrong for the hairpin here, just missing it slightly, but I get some pretty good traction on the exit onto this back straight, which luckily is going to help me out massively. And now a checkered flag is out, and we're kind of doing pretty well on this lap actually. Managed to hold our own quite nicely. We're up on our delta by quite a bit here, so it's just a question of trying to feather it through, bring it home now in this final sector, not make any mistakes as we make a nice run through this section here, getting a very nice use of the track, not hitting any walls and keeping it nice and clean, good traction, good brake zones, and overall a very clean lap so far as we go under the bridge here. And now only a few more corners to go. The final chicane of the track here, right left combo, and a very nice through, running it as close as you dare to the wall on the right hand side. And now one more corner to negotiate, the final corner here, as ballsy as you dare, and then open up the DRS and across the line. And where is that lap going to put us in the grand scheme of things in qualifying here? It's looking like P7, so we didn't actually improve in terms of our position, even though the lap time was a drastic improvement on my previous attempt. The position didn't really change, so overall, that was qualifying, a very good session there, and we managed to get best of the rest pretty much behind the three big teams. And Esteban Ocon gets P8, and Massa manages to split both of the four seniors there, Kvyat rounding out the top 10 ahead of his teammate Carlos Sainz. So overall, a very tasty top 10 there, and hopefully we can try and convert that into a better result tomorrow in the race for Sunday, for round number 14 of the season for the Singapore Grand Prix. Right, so here we are then for race day here at Singapore, and it's a very interesting race that we have prepared for us today. And we're going to start the race on P7 on the ultra soft compound tyres behind the three big teams, and we're pretty much neck and neck now with Williams in terms of where we are in the R&D development. I want to try and make it a goal to overtake them before the end of the season, so we're going to really focus hard on beating that goal. But in terms of the race strategy, you can see on the screen right now, I've done a custom strategy on screen to sort of modify it a little bit, because the game was telling me to go ultra super. But looking at the weather conditions that are expected, I'm going to go on the ultra soft, maybe go until about lap 8 or 9, and then switch over to the super soft compound tyre, and basically just try and drag that tyre as long as I can before the rain arrives. So hopefully that'll work out for us, and hopefully we can match it up with how long it's going to take for the rain to arrive. We're going to underfuel the car slightly and try and be aggressive off the start here, and I think we've got the pace to keep up with the big boys around here, or at least the Red Bulls. So we're going to see how our pace is on a little bit more heavier load of fuel, but I do think we've got the rhythm to keep up. So I'm very intrigued to see how this race is going to pan out. So if you guys are excited, then let's smash a like on the video already, and let's try and jump straight into this race now and see how things pan out for the Singapore Grand Prix. Right then, here we go. It's the longest race of the calendar. 5 red lights, and it's going to be lights out. No way we got that fifth light. Took an absolute age to go, but we've had a really good start here actually, getting the jump on Daniel Ricciardo. So fantastic start here on the inside now, and he actually goes around the outside of Verstappen. I get a bit of a tank stopper through turn 1, which doesn't help after that really good start. But here we go then. We're going to sit behind these guys and see what we can do. We're running worn engine components here because I want to try and basically save my fresher engines for later on in the season. I think we can get away with this engine that we're on right now. My IC is on 64%. That's the only major concern today, but I think we'll be okay. So let's try and focus on this race now and see how things unfold. I think we can, like I say, keep up with the Red Bulls, so let's try and make that a reality. And meanwhile, Vettel making a move on Bottas there. Hamilton once again leading the way here at Singapore. Okay, I'm all over the back of Verstappen here. I think I can make a move on him. I've got a little bit more pace than the Dutchman, and I think I can try and race after Ricciardo at the moment, to be honest, on current pace. So let's have a good exit out of here, which we have done. A little bit of a snappy rear end, but we're in the slipstream of Verstappen here. Let's try and just sit deep within. We've got some pretty low straight line speed due to the higher aero, but I know I can make the move on the Dutchman. I've just got to try and line him up at the right time. So let's try and see if we can get past Verstappen here. Okay, I'm starting to get really frustrated now behind Verstappen. I really want to pass him because Ricciardo's pulling away, and I think I can match him for pace. So I need to make the move on Verstappen ASAP, and this might be the chance now. We get a good run through the hairpin here, good traction onto the back straight. This could be the one here. I've had a much better exit than I expected. We're in the slipstream. I'm going to leave it very late to go to the inside line. We're going to make it stick up the inside, try and squeeze him out, and there we go. That's a nice little move into turn 14, and we're up into 6th place. And now let's try and chase down Daniel Ricciardo. Okay, we've got yellow flag up ahead, yellow flag conditions, and I think it might be Ricciardo who's having an issue, because yellow flag's a little bit further back, and it is Ricciardo, and it looks like he's out of the Singapore Grand Prix. And there you go, officially confirmed, Ricciardo out of the race here. So I'm now up into 5th place, and that was a very simple and effortless overtake, which I was planning to make in a much more complicated fashion. But we're now up into P5, and things are looking good. The tyres are actually not wearing at all, and I might be able to go quite long on these tyres, to be fair. So it might be an ultra until we get to the wet conditions instead of an ultra super. So let's see now if we can somewhat keep our Ferraris and Mercedes in sight. They're 5.6 ahead, and now Vettel has got issues. So that's going to be very interesting. Vettel, who retired in the last race, is having issues again here. So they're currently about 5.5 up the road. Let's see if we can try and keep that gap about the same. And I feel like if I hook every lap up, I think I can actually bring that gap down a little bit. So let's see what happens here with now Vettel having issues with his car. Okay, rain 10 to 15 minutes from now, so that's the first warning sign, so we'll keep that in mind. If the weather is consistent on this game, then we'll get basically a message in a few minutes time saying it's 15 minutes away. So I think right now we're looking pretty good for an ultra, so I might switch my strategy up and get rid of that super soft tire stint. Personal best middle sector, I'm now right behind Sebastian Vettel, who seems to be really struggling, but whatever issues he has is causing him a lot of trouble, and seems to be losing a lot of time on the braking, so maybe some sort of brake issue, or maybe a missing gear, which is also very important around a street circuit. But right now, I'm going to probably get an easy pass on Sebastian here very soon, probably into the first corner, presumably, unless he makes a mistake into this final corner here. But the back end, a little bit tail happy there, but here we go into the final corner here. Vettel really struggling. We're going to just basically sit right on his rear end, open up the DRS, and he's pretty slow in a straight line, so I wonder if he's got maybe a missing gear. But here we go, up the inside, down a couple of gears, turn one, pick up the apex, and there we go. It's a lovely little move, and we're up into P4 now. So also Ocon in the pit lane, which is an early stop, so I wonder if people want to come in for early stops. This is the lap for a scheduled pit stop to get off the ultra soft tyres, so let's see who comes in this lap. I'm probably going to stay on these 1 or 2 more laps just because I've got plenty of tyres left, and I mean plenty of tyres left. Okay, Hulkenberg's out of the race, Hamilton's in the pit lane, Raikkonen stays out for 1 more lap here, so interesting strategies across the board. Also Bottas stays out for 1 more, but I'm going to pit this lap now for ultra soft compound tyres, because the rain is about 10-15 minutes away, and I'm nearing now, it's sort of nearing the margin of 10 minutes I'm going to guess, so we're just going to stick it out basically, and try and basically hope that the rain arrives now, and that we don't mess up by going on to another set of ultra soft tyres. Okay, so I feel like Vettel might have just fixed his issues, because he's now all over the back of me, and he seems to have found a bit of pace. But we're going to come in this lap for our first stop, and I'll probably only stop in terms of dry tyres for the race. So we're going to push the pit entry a little bit here and be nice and aggressive. But there we go. Pretty comfortable in the end, just pushing at the start, but then also very easy just before we hit the limiter. But here we go, it's going to be a little bit of pit stop battle here. Everyone coming in this lap, so we need to be very quick, and I need to hope the crew has got their A game on. And we've been released, but we're not going. Come on, please. Oh no. Such a good stop as well. 2.3, literally nothing you can do against that. We was ready to go ages ago, yet still that wasn't enough, and we've lost 2 places, which is that's not good at all. But here we go, we're going to rejoin. Hopefully Verlaine can just get out ahead of them and cost them a little bit of time. Verlaine's going to be neck and neck with Vettel, but he's got past Verstappen, but Vettel is away, and that's worked out absolutely beautifully for the Ferrari driver. I'm going to rejoin just in front of my teammate Esteban Ocon here, but let's see if we can try and re-overtake Max Verstappen now. After all that hard and good work in that first stint, it's all been undone by a bit of a pit stop massacre. So let's try and get back on our way here and try and re-overtake Max Verstappen. Okay, here we go then. Around the outside of Verstappen. Now we've got enough room, not quite, just sort of squeezes me out. I was going to go around the outside of him there, because obviously he's been held up by Verlaine, but not enough room just yet. But I'm going to surprise him and pull off a bit of a sneaky move, as he's being held up by the Sauber driver. It means he's going to brake very early, so maybe into this next corner here, we're just going to go for one of the brakes and just launch one, and there you go, up the inside of Verstappen. He's still on my inside here. I'm going to go on the outside. He's going to just almost put me in the wall there, just about left me enough room, but I'm pushing him through this section. I'm going to try and get the switchback line on Verstappen, but can I get him? Not quite. Ocon's looking racy behind me here, so we've got to be careful. We're sort of in a bit of a sandwich being formed by Pascal, but here we go. He's going to release us all now as we go into the final corner. Verstappen locks up, and I just slide up the inside. Verstappen makes a little mistake there, and that just gave me the little look in, and I've made the move, and I'm up in the P6 now, so let's try and get on our way and try and push on here and try and pull away from Verstappen, see if I have the pace on these fresh tyres to do so. Personal best, left, right and centre. I'm about a second off Vettel's pace, who just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, but I'm sort of dragging Verstappen with me. He's not like making a move on me or anything, he's not that close, but the arrow's just sort of constantly there, on and off, and we're leaving Ocon behind, but Verstappen's got some okay pace, and I think I'm going to be battling him for the remainder of this Grand Prix pretty much, because if the rain doesn't arrive soon enough, then I don't think we're going to have a chance to crack it into the top 4, because the AI, unless they come in for another stop of dry tyres, then I think that's where we're all going to finish, and there's going to be a battle to the finish between myself and Verstappen, because even a switch over to into at the right time will not gain me the time that I've lost to the top 4. Okay, here we go then, right behind Kevin Magnussen, who's struggling now on those ultra softs, which he's been on since the start of the Grand Prix, so he's going to be fairly easy pickings. According to the radio, the rain should be here any minute. They're not really giving me many indications in terms of time, and we're basically just playing it by ear and what we can see on track. So right now there's still no rain, so I'm going to assume it's going to come down any moment now, but we just don't know when that will be. So for now, we're just stuck behind Magnussen, and I want to make the move on him fairly quickly because I'm losing hand over fist here behind the Dane, and all my good progress is going straight down, just straight down the drain, because I'm wanting to try and pass him here, but it's just not allowing me to. Here he goes, he pulls into the pit lane actually, and that's going to release me with some DRS finally onto the pit straight, and there we go. We're now back up into P5, and now it's time to push again and try and stretch Verstappen with us. Okay, I'm pretty sure my eyes not deceiving me. You won't see it on the video, but I think it's starting to rain. Little droplets are just starting to fall. So yeah, I can start to see it now. The rain is starting to come down. So it's starting to rain here in Singapore. So now basically we're going to be timing and counting down until we switch over to the wet compound tyres here. So let's try and get this time to perfection. Okay, the track's starting to get a little bit slippy here. I am going to take a risk, and I'm going to come in this lap. It's a bit early, but I didn't like how much the car was just starting to step away from me that lap. So if the rain continues at that rate, then the weather will come to me pretty quickly. So I'm also going to go, just because also I want to avoid like losing a place in the pit stop again, because that was not ideal last time. So 2.5, very good stop, and we're now going to hope that the track gets wet enough and the conditions come towards us quickly, because we're taking a risk here on this tyre, and hopefully you have timed it to perfection. So let's wait and see what the track is like on these conditions. So let's see if we can rejoin maybe ahead of Alonso here. Also to be a good reference point to see what our tyres are like and if the track is wet enough. But here we go, exiting the pit lane. Just going to get up the side of Magnussen, but it's not enough, and he's just ahead of me here. So let's see what the track's like as I get a huge screen freeze there and lose a bit of time. But now let's get up to speed on these tyres and see if we can keep up. The track doesn't feel a million miles away. I definitely got a little bit too early, but the track's coming to me, no problem. The issue is that Ocon's come in for another set of dry tyres, which is basically going to relegate him to outside the points for now. So it's up to me now to try and put it back for Force India. I need this track to get wet like right now, basically, for me to have any chance of putting this back here. So let's hope that either the track is wet right now, or the AI come in this up for another set of dry tyres. That's the only way I'm going to make up the time that I've lost. Okay, the AI are all in the pit lane, and I'm going to presume they're all in for intermediate tyres. I was catching at the end of that lap, so I'm going to presume everyone's going on to inters. But the question is, where are we going to rejoin? It's going to be P8, is that P9? Yeah, P9 for now, behind Verstappen, who's on to inters. So that's very unfortunate, because I was hoping that AI would have stayed at one more lap. Maybe the top 5 have stayed at one more lap, but Verstappen certainly hasn't, and that's the guy I was trying to race. So if we want to catch Verstappen, we've got to pass him on track this race, and that's very disappointing, because I've thrown away the possibility of beating both of the Red Bulls this race. Okay, we've got the remaining people stayed out on dry tyres in the pit lane here, so let's see where we are. We're going to re-inherit P8, and then we've got a couple more cars here, and I think that's Massa in P6, so I want to try and just come out ahead of, and we're going to have to go around the outside of Felipe here. He's on my inside, I've just about made it work, and I'm up into P6 now, so that is a pretty good position for me. 2 places up on my target finishing position, and now we've got to see what the pace is like. So far I think it's pretty good. I think we've got the pace to beat the guys behind, but we haven't really got enough to really get Verstappen at a huge rate of knots. So right now we've just got to try and survive these conditions, and then eventually it's going to transition to heavy rain. The question is, will there be enough laps left to try and go into the full wet, or just maybe stick it out in the intermediate? Right, so heavy rain in about 5 minutes. Also, I'm about half a second a lap faster than Verstappen every single lap. The gap's now 9.5 seconds. It was 11.5 a few laps ago, so it is starting to come down, but there are those few laps where it doesn't come down those half a second. It comes down just a tenth or two, but I am faster than Max Verstappen, and I don't know if I'll catch him at the end of the race. I don't know if I'll be ahead of him, but I'm going to give it a good go, and I'm definitely going to get closer. And if I time this switch over to full wets, and say if the AI don't come in for those full wet tyres, then I've got a chance this race. Right, I just took 7 tenths out of Verstappen that lap, so my pace is really good here at the moment, and the track is starting to get very wet now, so we've got to be very careful with the conditions, and the wet weather tyres are not too far away, and I think we are going to have to run them this race. However, I'm catching Verstappen at a rate of knots, so I want to try and keep it going here. Right, into the pit lane then for my final stop this race. I'm going to come in for the full wet tyres. I don't know if it's the right time for it, but I mean, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. Why not? I mean, we're going to have to run them anyway, so even if I lose a little bit of time, the track's just getting wetter anyway, and it's pretty damn wet in the first place, so this should be a pretty good start for us. Hopefully it works out okay. We're underway, 2.3, good stop there from the boys, and yeah, we're now going to see what the track conditions are like and see if this tyre works for us or not. I mean, the rain is now really starting to come down, so it's full on wet conditions now. Hopefully we can have some good pace and see what these tyres are like and put them hopefully to some good use. We're going to rejoin right behind my teammate by the look of it, so this is going to be a good comparison to see if these tyres are ready for the conditions or not. Okay, the track's really struggling to just get that final bit of wetness that I need for these tyres to come into play, and I'm losing a little bit of time here. I mean, Alonso's trying to pass me, but he can't get past me. Ocon's really pulled away. I need to hope that the AI stay out until the end on the inters right now, because that's the only hope I have, because either that or they make a really, really late call to switch over to full wets. But right now, I need the track to come to me like right now so that I can use this full lap. Still waiting for that track to get really wet. I mean, look at the rain. It's absolutely chucking it down right now. I'm just starting to slightly stretch out over Alonso, but I mean, I need this rain to really like hammer down in these last 2 laps for me to have any chance of making something happen. Okay, looks like the AI are sticking out an instance to the end of the race, and I'm starting to pull away from Alonso now, finally. So the conditions are coming to me. I'm starting to catch Ocon. So now I've got to make these laps. Basically, these next 2 laps, these final 2 laps, have to be perfect and as quick as possible. Oh man, the track just didn't get wet enough, did it? It really hasn't. I mean, it's still not ideal for the full wets. I mean, there's Ocon up the road, but that is very disappointing. A race that had so much potential. We was as high as P4 at one point, and ever since we got held up in the pit lane, it all just went downhill from there, and only P14. That's very disappointing, even behind my teammate. That is very, very disappointing. I really, really thought the track would have got wet enough for full wets there, but once again, the game and the dynamic weather and the unpredictable weather system catches me out, and it was raining fast enough, but then the rain didn't pick up. It sort of stopped picking up once I moved onto the full wets, and I never really got intense enough for a full wet switch over. But that man again, Kimi Räikkönen, wins at Singapore ahead of Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel. So I really don't want to say this guy is an absolute machine. No one can stop Kimi Räikkönen, and he's well on course to defending his World Driver's crown. And what a season he is having. I'd even argue even more dominant than last season. But as you can see, it's actually it's actually not Hamilton who's second. It's Bottas. So Hamilton must have had some sort of issue, because I could have sworn Hamilton was like leading the race for most of it. So I wonder if Hamilton maybe has some car issues, or maybe he also went to the full wets. Maybe, who knows? But Hamilton not winning the race, and we've got some invisible rose water there, as you can see on screen. But overall, that was Singapore. Very disappointing. But we're now going to move into the final race results, drivers and constructors standings. Right, you can see, looking at the final race results, is a finish 1-2 with Räikkönen leading Bottas to the line, and Sebastian Vettel rounds off the podium with Lewis Hamilton dropping to P4 after leading most of the race, with Max Verstappen in P5, and then P6 where I should have finished. Instead is Felipe Massa ahead of Carlos Sainz, Romain Grosjean, Julian Palmer scoring points for Renault there, and Daniel Kvyat in P10, and then Esteban Ocon in P13, and then me all the way down in P14 behind my teammate, and Daniel Ricciardo and Nico Hülkenberg DNFing from this race. But for the driver standings, we stand 100 points, 17 points behind Ricciardo, who also didn't score any, and today was a big chance to really gain some points on Daniel. But Verstappen overtakes his teammate, and Räikkönen is 55 points clear at the top of the pole, with Vettel 55 points behind him, and Hamilton still in third place there. But overall, it's looking like if Räikkönen gets one more big win or big result, he's going to wrap up the championship here. But other than that, looking at the constructors final, you can see that no major changes here, and it looks like we are well on course to hold on fourth place in the constructors as a team, and Ferrari looking bang on course to win the constructors for the second year running. But other than that, guys, we're now going to jump into the laptop. Okay, so after that race, we're going to have just enough, I believe, just enough resource points to purchase the failed upgrade that we had for this race. So we're going to buy that, and that should take us above Williams in the aero department. And also, the upgrade should take us above Williams in the general construction, like the general constructor standing. So we should be the fourth best team going to the next race, unless Williams bring an upgrade of their own. But that's going to be it for this episode, guys. If you have enjoyed it, then please do smash the like button. Also subscribe if you're new to the channel, and also check out these videos on screen if you haven't done so already. Also check out GT Omega and the links down below. Use the code TOM97 for a 5% discount at checkout. Other than that, guys, I thank you ever so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one very soon. Goodbye.